Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just jump right into it today because we are looking at a wildly fascinating anomaly. We're conducting an analytical breakdown of what might be the most bizarre biological, or honestly, maybe meteorological event in recent history. We are focusing squarely on Milo. He's a 10-year-old boy from the incredibly quiet, totally unassuming town of Bubbleberry Hills. Now, this isn't your typical story about a kid catching the sniffles. No way. This is about a localized, reality-bending phenomenon that literally rewrote the rules of biology and, well, municipal event planning forever.
You gotta ask yourself, what actually happens when a single sneeze triggers absolute chaos? It completely challenges everything we think we know about human respiratory functions. And that question is really at the core of our explainer today. We're going to dive deep into the devastating, yet, let's be honest, highly entertaining potential of a simple human reflex and see exactly how one kid's allergies turned an entire town totally upside down.
All right, part one, the mystery juice anomaly. Let's set the baseline and look at the environment right before the inciting incident actually happened.
So, picture Milo. First, we have to contrast his entirely ordinary life with his reality immediately after the anomaly hit. I mean, he went from a completely normal 10-year-old kid to a walking, breathing, completely uncontrollable zoo. And the transition was instantaneous. Whenever Milo sneezed, it wasn't just air and microscopic particles anymore. His sneezes actually started manifesting physical, living, and often very well accessorized creatures.
And the culprit behind all this? It traces back to a highly volatile super-experimental liquid cooked up by Professor Picklesworth. Milo accidentally drank this ultra-super-mega mystery juice, and it just fundamentally and permanently altered his biology. Specifically, it completely rewired his sternutation, his sneezing outputs.
Okay, so here's where it gets wild. The very first recorded symptom began with a standard sneeze, a really loud poof, and suddenly a tiny chicken wearing sunglasses instantly materializes right on the kitchen table. And it didn't just sit there and cluck. It actively demanded to know, where's the bleach? I mean, just imagine the sheer shock for Milo's mother. She literally dropped her cereal when she realized they were dealing with, in her own words, another vacation chicken.
With that vacation chicken, just the tip of the iceberg. These early stage manifestations were completely bizarre. We're talking a giraffe and roller skates, a dancing penguin, and, incredibly, a screaming goat that exclusively spoke Spanish. But the most crucial takeaway here is that these animals never disappeared. They stuck around. These permanent biological creations just kept compounding the logistical and spatial nightmares for his poor family every single day.
Which brings us to part two, escalating classroom contagions. Because, a domestic anomaly like this just couldn't stay hidden forever. It inevitably moved from a private household issue right into a highly populated school environment. Now, a middle school is basically a powder keg for an anomaly like this. So, Subject Zero, Milo, gets that dangerous telltale nose wiggle in class. His best friend and associate, Luna, instantly recognizes the threat. She initiates verbal avoidance protocols, slowly backing away, explicitly warning him, do not sneeze. But despite his absolute best efforts, Milo's nasal cavity just had its own agenda.
The aftermath of that classroom sneeze was immediate and massive. A giant, fluffy elephant wearing pink pajamas appears out of nowhere and literally sits on and completely crushes the teacher's desk. But instead of sheer terror, the sheer absurdity of this polite, pink pajama-clad elephant taking up half the room led to this incredible reaction from his teacher. I mean, the elephant even raised its trunk and formally thanked the class, which naturally caused everyone to start screaming. But believe it or not, the classroom was just a warm-up. We see a rapid-fire cluster of sneezes during the lunch period, and the complexity of the spawn fauna just escalates rapidly. Sneeze 1, you get a karate hamster. Sneeze 2, a disco raccoon. And by sneeze 3, we are looking at a full-blown crocodile wearing a business suit and carrying a briefcase.
And the craziest part here is the extreme specificity and professional urgency of these animals. Like the crocodile literally checked a watch and announced it was late for a meeting. When Luna pushed him on who exactly he was meeting with, he just cited very important crocodile business. It left his classmates with these profound, entirely unanswered questions about the hidden underground world of reptilian corporate commerce, and obviously no one dared to ask any follow-up questions.
All right, part three, the parade of chaos. This is the big crisis event, and it was triggered by the mayor's incredibly ill-timed announcement that the very next day would be Bubbleberry Hill's biggest parade.
Now, Milo knew that combining his newly acquired biological weapon with a densely packed municipal event was a total recipe for disaster. So, he tried to implement a tactical containment protocol. Step 1. Acquire marshmallows. Step 2. Plug nostrils securely. His friend Luna definitely noted it was highly questionable, but Milo really believed he had built a foolproof defensive perimeter.
But you know how these things go in real-world applications. Environmental factors always play a role, specifically a rogue floating feather. That feather breaches the perimeter, makes direct contact with Milo's nose, and boom, the marshmallows are instantly compromised, shooting out like projectiles. Catastrophic failure of the defense system. And that failure instantly produced exactly 30 monkeys on pogo sticks right in the dead center of the parade route. Just like that, 30 of them bouncing in perfect unison right amidst the marching bands and the confetti. The crowd's initial reaction was sheer terror, but that was followed almost immediately by just hysterical laughter. But Milo couldn't stop. That initial breach initiated a chain reaction, a total cascade event of rapid-fire sneezes. Out pops a tap-dancing llama, then a hippo in a tutu, then remarkably, a snake playing an electric guitar. Milo's respiratory tract had officially turned a highly organized municipal parade into a completely uncontrollable multi-species rock concert. Absolute madness. Moving to part 4, the weirdest town on Earth. Let's look at the sociological aftermath here. How exactly does a population recover from a multi-species spontaneous zoological event? You'd probably expect mass lawsuits, right? Or maybe a military quarantine. Well, you'd be wrong.
Actually, scratch that. Instead of mass panic, the data shows an overwhelmingly positive public reception. 95% of the town absolutely loved it. Kids were dancing with the monkeys, grandmas were taking selfies with the llama. There was only a tiny 5% negative reaction, and that consisted entirely of the mayor, who famously fainted directly into a cotton candy machine. The citizens were actually demanding further sternutation. They were chanting for Milo to sneeze again. So, bowing to this immense public pressure, Milo gave the people exactly what they wanted. He drew in the single deepest breath physiologically possible to prepare for what would forever be known in Bubbleberry Hill's history as the ultimate sneeze. And the climax of this phenomenon was simply unparalleled. With a massive, earth-shaking boom, a sky-filling rainbow-colored dragon materialized. And true to form for a Milo sneeze, the dragon was wearing tiny bunny slippers. It casually looks down at the crowd, asks, "Am I late to the party?" and literally starts moonwalking through the clouds while fireworks exploded and music blasted down below. The aftermath was basically a masterclass in economic pivoting. Bubbleberry Hills didn't fight the anomaly, they embraced the whole shebang. They officially rebranded as the weirdest town on Earth. They successfully transformed their entire local economy into a global tourist attraction, drawing people from all over the world whose sole purpose was to just watch a 10-year-old boy sneeze out impossible creatures. And honestly, Milo himself found that he kinda loved his new reality.
Which brings us to the big takeaway as we wrap up this explainer. We're really left to ponder this profound question. Is it possible that complete, utter disaster is actually just a superpower in disguise? Milo's terrifying condition brought pure joy, booming tourism, and literally a moonwalking dragon to a sleepy little town. It perfectly illustrates how embracing the totally unexpected can transform our lives for the better. Though, hey, as a final medical disclaimer, despite all his newfound fame, Milo is definitely still highly advised to avoid black pepper forever. Thanks for joining me on this one, and keep questioning the impossible.